Hi, I've clicked on today's tropical tidbit for Monday over here in the Atlantic. Not a whole lot going on for the moment. We got Richard, which has weakened to a tropical depression over Central America over here. If we zoom in on this, you can see it's lost its core as it has been over land for a while now since last night. This came into Belize as a Cat 1 hurricane with a solid eye feature. And this is going to continue across over here and start curving out. The idea on this, that this would develop 10 days ahead of time here, come up north, curve to the west, and then curve to the north again, overall was a great idea. My problems came with the exact track being farther east up into this area right here. Never was supposed to be a strong storm in this area, but I don't like it when my track forecasts go wrong either. But this is going to eventually curve out, and the idea of this developing in here and then taking this general path towards Central America and then recurving out was a good one. And now we're going to have to start watching for our next troublemaker down the road. We can already see her over here, what could be Sherry, area of low pressure, south-southwest of the Cape Verde Islands. Yes, this is indeed something to watch, even though it is way out here. This will not be doing much for the moment as it comes across over the next few days, but this is going to be coming across, and it's going to be causing problems when it finally comes across the Atlantic. You're going to see it take a path that's over here off the satellite imagery right now, but once it gets into the GOES area, you'll see it, you'll watch it come across. It's going to come to the Caribbean like this, following the intertropical convergence zone, and that's, you're seeing the GFS showing a storm in 8 days south of Hispaniola. European day 10 has a hurricane near Jamaica over here in a big trough over the eastern United States. So again, we must ask ourselves the question, does this make sense? Because we're not just smack dab in the middle of the hurricane season anymore. We need storm formation to really make sense. Now, even though it's an active season, not everywhere is just jet fuel anymore, so we need to ask ourselves whether the pattern supports this. If we look at the 200 millibar wind anomalies for the last week, you can see what's been going on. We've had a big ridge over here, and you've had troughs trying to come across in the eastern United States, but remember that SOI, Southern Oscillation Index, a pulse that came across the Pacific, and I told you that that was going to be pumping the ridge off the southeast United States coastline, enhancing the resistance with the troughs up here, creating a strong jet. You can see that jet here as the core has been strong. This ridge has been really strong over here, and this core of the jet has been applying resistance, and you can see that this was taking air out of the Northwest Caribbean, and this is how we got Richard to develop over here, and this is why Richard was forecasted to develop. But at the same time, we also got a lot of sinking air in here because the air was converging aloft in here, so you got a lot of sinking, a lot of nothingness east of Richard over here. Now that this pulse is going through, you're going to see this ridge weaken and slacken off and propagate back down to the southeast over here. The troughs are going to be allowed to dig deeper into the eastern United States. You're going to pull air out of the Caribbean, but farther east this time. So this time it's going to be this area of the world that has to be watching closely, and we're going to start seeing pressures lower here, and that's why you're seeing the models jump on this. And you can see this on the GFS ensembles, day 13, 500 millibar anomaly. Look what's going on in the Caribbean now. Much lower than normal heights, indicating upward motion, and lower than normal pressures in here. And if we look at the precip for day 8, you can see our little feature trying to come onto the screen here near the northern coast of South America. Day 10, it's propagating westward over here. Day 12 and day 15, it's still here. And notice how it's sitting around for a while over here. We start seeing it by day 8 and it's still there a week later. This is because when you got troughs over the eastern seaboard, you can see this try to punch across and then all of a sudden not know where to go and try to start meandering northeast in here and try to figure out where to go. This is something we're going to have to be watching for, and the northern Caribbean islands are going to have to pay close attention to this, because when you get a slow-moving system in the Caribbean in an environment where the trough is pulling air out to the north, you could get something winding up really strong in here, and when you can see the global models seeing big pressure drops with this. So this is something that the northern Caribbean islands should be concerned about, because the Caribbean can and does get major hurricanes in the month of November, which is when this will develop. So we're going to have to be watching this closely. You can see the MJO forecast from the GFS. Sinking air right now, still reversing. Richard developed in the midst of the dry sinking air. So did Paula. A pair of storms there. It was pretty interesting to watch. Notice day 5, more green. Day 10, more green over here. In day 15, a little bit of slacking off. But you know why it's slacking off? It's because a storm left. So there's sinking left behind. And check this out. The GFS is actually seeing the storm on the MJO forecast. See the bomb right here? north of where is this? This is Guinea or something over here, north of Guinea. Then notice the bomb south of Hispaniola and Jamaica. 5 days later, you can actually see the storm propagate across on the MJO forecast, and this is really cool. It indicates something rather big going on, actually, if the model actually sees this on the MJO signal with one storm, and then this leaves, recurves out, and you're left with sinking air behind. So there are big potential for lowering pressures in here and applying energy, bundling it into a storm. This is something that people are going to have to watch for. We're going to probably get one more name at least, and then we'll see whether there are possibilities for any more storms before the season is over. But November will continue to be trying to generate storms in this area of the world, in the Caribbean, as long as the water is warm and wind shear is not too high. And Sherry, should she develop, which I think she will bring us up to 18 named storms, which was my quota forecasted at the beginning of the year. And we have our 10 hurricanes out of that 18 already, so doing pretty well so far in the seasonal forecast. I'm pretty happy with it. But the Northern Caribbean Islands should be watching this closely for the next couple of weeks. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.